change gears here. I saw an article this week about easing FHA condo restrictions and financing on condos, and I thought it was a really important segment because I think sometimes when people hear us talk about real estate, they hear us talk about real estate and they assume that what we're talking about applies to everything. But real estate has so many little niche segments of its market. You've got different parts of town where it's different. You've got different types of products. You've got commercial. You've got residential, and the condo market is something where sometimes people will hear what we're talking about, and maybe that applies to a lot of single-family homes, but the condo market maybe isn't as performing as well. Prices aren't rising as much. Condos, in my opinion, are still one of the most undervalued real estate investments in Tampa Bay. There's still a lot of condos out there that are well below peak pricing, that are great rental properties. The HOAs, for the most part, have been cleaned up because foreclosures have been down, and so the HOAs have more money in the coffers, so they're not raising fees as much. Insurance hasn't gone up as much because of all the storms that keep missing us. But condo financing has been one of the things that's really held the condo market back. So, when we look at prices today, you can look in, South Tampa, West Chase, and these different parts of town. We're pretty close to peak market pricing in some of these neighborhoods where we are back to where it was, at the peak of our real estate market, back, many, many years ago. Condos, however, have trailed that, and they're not nearly as close to peak because of all the challenges with financing, because a lot of it started with private mortgage insurance, where you couldn't get mortgage insurance, you had to put more money down. So condos are a little bit more challenging to finance. You generally need a little bit more money down. A lot of that's starting to clear up, though, and FHA, it looks like, there's a call to action to ease some of the restrictions on condos to help improve the condo market.
Yeah, so here's what people need to know. I mean, especially for people that are listening from out of town, people moving here to Florida.
Thinking about buying a condo.
There are rules for condominiums throughout the whole country, and then there's Florida. And
right.
It's completely different. For whatever reason, Florida has a whole different designation.
Well, we got killed. Financing. Yeah, and we got killed when the market crashed, so all of the private mortgage insurance companies pulled out, and then they slowly started trickling back in, and now, all of the, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, they're a little bit more stringent with their rules.
Yeah, so here's what you have. Basically, if you're looking to purchase a condo, there are going to be a lot of condos actually that you can get just like any other type of financing. Normal, it's going to be everything checks out, and you put your 5% down or whatever, and you're good to go.
And I would say that's not the norm, though. You still got a lot.
There's a lot.
I would say it's probably half and half.
Yeah.
Where you still got a lot of them where there were too many delinquencies a few years ago, or there's rules in their HOA, or there's not enough owner occupants, and then the lenders want more money down on those condos.
So that's a little misleading too, and the reason being is that there's a lot of the big banks that still are playing by rules of 2007, 2008 that
right.
say you need to have a 25% down payment on any condo. That's not what Fannie Mae is saying.
Okay.
So for instance, us at Waterstone, there's a lot of condominiums that, if you're buying it as an owner-occupied residence, you don't have to worry about, say, what the owner occupancy is in the whole complex. So it makes us a little bit different. We're following Fannie Mae's rules, not with the overlays of
correct. And if you don't know what overlays are what the banks will basically make as their own guidelines. Even when they're selling a loan to Fannie or Freddie, they put their own overlays over the guidelines to maybe more insulate themselves from risk, or because they're more concerned with a specific product.
Exactly. So you have that. So there are a handful of properties, I would say lots, that can go conventional financing. And then there's a handful that will require maybe a 20% down or 25% down, depending on the situation. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the budget of the HOA. We're going to look at the bylaws and make sure that everything kind of fits. How many delinquencies are there? Is the HOA basically retaining 10% of the budget for reserves, which is a big thing. If it doesn't meet these criteria, we still at Waterstone, whereas big banks won't, we have the ability to do what's called non-warrantable loans, meaning that doesn't necessarily go to Fannie Mae.
Correct. You're lending out your own money or bank money.
Correct. So there's a lot of options for that. That can get people by in a 20% type down payment most of the time. There's some 10%, some 30%. It just depends on the actual condo. Now, what the article is talking about is FHA.
FHA, which is 3.5% down, and generally, I think the FHA and VA lists are relatively comparable. So you're also talking about, 3.5% down or 0 down, those restrictions are even more tight. So it's, and it's a big push to get, because they want, millennial first-time home buyers. The condo is the option for them because it's kind of the ease into home ownership. It's the change from apartment life where they're still not maintaining as much, but it's affordable. And so that's kind of, the article's premise is, let's get this done because it will help the condo market. It will help condo sales. It'll help spur that. It'll help buyers feel more comfortable.
So there's lots of reasons why somebody would get an FHA loan just in general. It's obviously a weighing of pros and cons between that and conventional. But if you have to go FHA and you're looking for a condo and you're looking in our general Tampa Bay area, you're probably not going to be too successful today.
There's not a lot of approved condos.
FHA has a list. It's very few.
And it changes, so there's not a lot of them. So you got to go conventional. And because of all these restrictions, and that's what a lot of people have the opinion of, is that all of these restrictions on financing have held back prices, and they have, because the harder it is to qualify, the more you shrink the buyer pool, the less demand there is, and then of course prices can't rise because supply and demand is out of whack. What I'll tell you though that I think is really powerful behind this message is that to improve the condo market, these restrictions have to be loosened. And it's a trickle effect, because if FHA loosens their restrictions and starts doing lower down payment, then conventional and some of the other banks are going to follow and say, okay, let's do a 3% down condo loan, and
those exist. Those exist with us.
But the list of condos, the restrictions on those condos, once FHA makes that rule, everyone else wants to compete, so they loosen their restrictions, and it's a domino effect. And what has to happen is that has to happen for a few years for the condo market to improve. So it's not as if they go out and make these changes and tomorrow condo prices start rising. It's a period of time where a lot of this activity has to happen a certain way, and that helps condo prices rise. So if you're someone that's thinking about buying, or you're an investor, or you're kind of putting your toe in the condo market, that's where I think there's still a lot of upswing in condo prices, because the financing has really held a lot of the prices back, because it's so much easier to get financing on single family homes or townhomes. And I think that's an important thing to understand. A lot of people don't know the difference between a townhome and a condo, so I'll kind of relay that too. But the condo market will improve dramatically when some of these guidelines get loosened, when when it makes it more competitive, when you can open the buyer pool, and when those millennial buyers that don't have 5% but they got 3% down can start buying them. It's a domino effect, and over a period of years, those decisions that they make now will help condo prices, because that's really what's holding back. There's demand for them, but people are like, oh, I could buy a single family home and only put down $6 grand. Oh, but if I do a condo, I got to have 9, and then I got and they go the other path. So, but the difference between a condo and a townhome. Condo, you do not own the land underneath it. A condo, you have a shared interest in the common elements. A real easy way to know whether or not it's a condo or a townhome. If it's a condo, in the legal description, in MLS, on all the websites, there's almost always a legal description. If it says the words undivided common interest, then that's going to be a condo. With a townhome, it's going to have a lot or a block or a unit number. Now, a condo can sometimes have the unit number, but you're not going to see lot or block in a condo's legal description, and you'll see a unit number followed by or preceded by an undivided interest in the common element. So that's a really simple, easy way that if you're looking at a property and you don't know if it's a townhome or a condo, look at the legal description, and if you see lot or block, it's not going to be a condo. If you see unit number with no undivided common interest in common elements, then that's going to be that's going to be a townhome.
And like I said, it's going to open up the buyer pool, which is definitely going to raise price. If you're going to bet on something in real estate over the next 5 years happening, that's probably the case.
I think it's a great option. Condo prices are going to rise. They have to, because the financing is going to loosen up. So again, the differentiating point: condo is going to have the words undivided common interest in the legal description. Townhome is going to have lot or block, and if it has the word unit without the words undivided common interest, then that's going to be a townhome. And so that's an easy way to know the difference. We're going to continue this conversation talking about the local real estate market after a quick break here at 970 WFLA.